Chapter 2. Out of the Mouths of Babes. As it turned out, I did buy a remodeled engine for my Datsun, but it was the wrong model type, so eventually I disposed of the car and bought a 1974 Datsun. But that's getting ahead of myself. It's called Rambling On, a product of wiser age. Oh yes, back to the Datsun 510. Because I did not want the interior of the car to dry rot or cause the dashboard to crack, I left one of the side windows a tad bit down for proper ventilation. It was a space just wide enough for my open hand to enter if I was careful, but it would keep the rain out. Well, most of it anyway, and no one would have enough space to get to latch and open the door. Not like they were going to be able to drive off with it anyway. One afternoon I got home from work, very distracted and conversing with my buddy over the phone, one of my many ploys I use to keep myself from getting drowsy as I drive home from work. "Hey Jimmy, I just got home, man." "Yep, rough drive. Traffic is a beast, I tell ya." "Not sure what is happening with me though. My doctor says I check out fine, just borderline stuff. But I can't keep my eyes open while driving home. Just keep dropping off to sleep." My dad would probably laugh and say I have dropsy. I laughed. You know, the type of sickness people get that causes them to be standing right in front of you speaking in earnest. Then without warning, in the middle of a sentence, the person just suddenly falls off to sleep. Geez. It's not really funny, but that's my current circumstance when I am not in motion or in direct physical activity. Pray for me, bro. A bit ago, I had to pull off to the side of the road and take a nap. Yes, it was that bad. Man, I am worried. It's been happening for a while now, and the doctor has no clue what to make of my circumstance. Just says all tests are normal. My blood sugars are borderline on a few issues, but not drastic. I even did a cancer screening, and that's negative as well. It's weird, Jimmy. Okay, I gotta go. Give Ruth and the kids a hug for me, huh? Yes, I will schedule another visit with the doctor. Don't worry. I am already overstressed enough for the both of us, bro. Let me take a look in the old Datsun. The rain fell yesterday, and I need to see if any rain got into the car. Been weeks since I done any restoration work on the old bucket. Let me see if I can find that toolbox you wanted to borrow. I will call you back, bro. Got to hustle now. Need to go for my usual evening walk before dinner. Plus the wife needs to go shopping after I pick her up at the bus stop. Focused, I walked over to the old Datsun, parked at the right edge of the driveway, and opened the car door to get out my toolbox, while also remembering I needed to tighten the battery holder on my Ford Windstar minivan, and had the scare of my life. A black cat jumped out at me, thumped me right in the chest. I presumed in that instance it was an attack, but the truth was, I probably scared the living daylights out of it myself. I stepped back in such a start. I forgot the 1-foot-high rock border between the edge of the driveway and the garden bed by the lawn's edge. I landed flat on my back and chipped up my pride's enamel, as my dad would say. I peed myself too. By the time I stopped cussing and quieted down to assess the situation, I realized that the cat was not only living in the car, but had kittens. No wonder she did not make for the bushes on the other side of the street, but rather stood a distance away on the lawn, meowing in a pleading way, scared, but looking at me with a begging countenance. I quickly walked away to step up onto the single step of the walkway leading to my front door. Only then did I turn to look back and held my right hand up in a gesture of peace towards the cat, a sign to convince the cat I was no longer a threat. Cautiously, she walked back to the open car door and entered. I just stood there dumbfounded, scratching my head, pondering how she got her sizable girth in and out of that narrow space in the car window, especially when she was pregnant. It was then I reflected on what my mom would often say when I expressed to her in frustration that a chore or project was too difficult to perform. "My son," she would say in that very meaningful way of hers, "where there is a will, there is a way." I left the situation as it was to consult with my wife later when I picked her up at the bus stop. For now I would just go inside, get dressed in my sweats and go for my walk. I, on second thought, poured some milk into a bowl and took it outside and carefully placed it on the rocky path by the side of the concrete driveway so the mother could have some sustenance after feeding her brood. Later I had a chat with my wife. After all, 2 heads are better than 1, right? And my wife was in complete agreement with me that I need to close the door to keep the kittens from getting out and to turn the car window a bit more down to allow the mother easier access. Maybe in time when she was not so skittish I could push the car in the garage, my wife said. "Say what now?" I asked her in shock. My wife just gave me a look as she offered a two open palms gesture as she cocked her head to the side. A way to suggest I show some compassion. I did not venture to speak whatever else was on my mind, even though to me what she suggested was a bit much. I don't want permanent house guests. Ugh, the grandkids were going to be a pain for sure when their mom brought them home. My only immediate thought was to put a cardboard box across the street, under the overhanging edge of the blackberry bushes, and line the inside of the box with torn-up newspapers. That trail of thought, however, best be left for another day, I told myself. Right this moment I was hungry and will think better after a full belly and a good night's sleep. I was getting grumpy. At the dinner table that night, when my wife and I discussed the cat situation some more, the three grandkids living with us immediately chipped in their 2 cents worth, like they had skin in the game. When I mentioned my idea of a box placed over in the bushes, "Granddad, that is cruel. We are supposed to protect animals, not put them out in the cold, especially not with those babies," Natalie said. I just looked at her and shook my head. Then the grandson Patrick said, "Can we adopt them?" The nerve of this kid. "Absolutely not," I said. "And that's that." And the tears began to fall. "Crikey, this cat better have rent money."